I do believe all of you have quite a bit of work to do. So, also, if you don't know what lizard is, well, it is something you're going to see here very shortly. That is what it is. Okay, we are good and we are ready to get ourselves started here. So I am going to hand it off to dwangoAC, our keeper of TASBot. Take it away. Spot, take it away.
Hello everyone, I am dwangoAC, and as introduced, I am the keeper of TASBot. I have TASBot right here. You can see him sitting on top of a PVM over here. He has a TAS-TM32 board made by Onosaurus with a replay device as a replay device, and he's also got a visualization board here. This is an NES where we've replaced the lights, or the buttons with lights. That was done by Micro 500. On the line with me for commentary, I'm going to let Winterbit introduce themselves first. Winterbit, go away and then, or take off. Take it away. Don't go away. Take it away.
Winterbit, go away.
Don't go away.
Yeah, hi. I'm Winterbit. I ran this game last year, and I look forward to coming back to it soon, actually. Lower my time a little bit more. And that's just about all I have to say about that. I'll pass it over to Rain Warrior, aka Brad. He is the creator of this game.
Hi, I'm Brad, and I made this game.
This is an awesome opportunity. We actually have the developer of the game right here on for commentary. I'm so happy to see this. So I'm going to get this started right away. We're going to start this task in... Oh, this is made by Juf. How do you pronounce his name? Juf.
I'm not sure.
Ever agree on how to pronounce his name?
I've always said Wef, but I don't know.
We are thankful for him making this. This was submitted to taskvideos.org last year, and it's a pretty good run. And we're going to kick it off in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Well, the gist of this game is there are a whole bunch of different zones, 6 different basic endings, and 6+ different lizards you can wear. Your human is randomized at the start of every match, looks like. We're going to see exactly what hair color we have in a second. Yeah, you can put on lizards and use their abilities. This lizard is the lizard of balance, and using the B button allows you to bounce, as you might expect. It'll allow you to reach higher places and do various skips that we're going to see a little bit later in the run.
Looks like we got short, dark brown hair in this one.
Very nice. So here is the most mind-breaking of the zones, Void Zone. Do you want to go ahead and explain a little bit about Void Zone?
So the Void Zone, most of the world is connected. Like you go left in your one room left, and you go, up, down, right. Here, if you go off the bottom of the zone, you kind of wrap to the top of it. If you go off to the right, you wrap to the left. But it's not just wrapping, it's also a spiral. So you could just go like straight line all the way through this area. And
either right to left or up to down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. So here's Bowie, our first boss fight. It's really not that much to say about it, just every time his crown disappears, you bop him on the head and you're done. So here's our first ending. No reason to stand on the lizards' heads afterward, but there's a little bit of swag. Here's one of the skips we were talking about. You can carry that bounce all the way across the screen there, and bounce our way halfway into Maze Zone. So that skips about 2 minutes of climbing.
Yeah,
pretty
it's the
significant.
fastest way into this area. It's funny because I noticed that you could do it when I was developing it, and then I forgot. And then, like, way after I released it, somebody figured it out. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. Alright, so we're ascending into Palace Zone now. There is a little skip you can do with Bounce Lizard here in Palace Zone. This task does not do it, but once it's incorporated into the task, this will be sub 18 minutes, which is very cool.
That's a pretty common scenario where new tricks are found all the time, and then the task gets updated, and this already has been obsoleted a couple of times as it is.
Yeah, the route that we use currently in RTA is actually the same for the task, and it shaved about 3 minutes off the initial time of the task.
And that's actually
it's
something
really cool to see.
I want to touch on that really briefly. A lot of times you'll find that the route that's used in the task came from the speedrunning community, and glitches found with task tools are often incorporated into real-time runs. And I love seeing that synergy between the two communities.
It's fantastic.
Oh, I knew that pun was going to get used.
I forgot it was a pun for the second time. Alright, so we're going to skip that checkpoint. And here's our second boss. This one's name is Nugent. Do you want to explain the name a little bit?
Oh, Nugent is named after the mathematician Ramanujan, he wrote a lot about continued fractions and other mathematical things, so it's a frog that knows fractions, let's say.
So good. Alright, so here is where my heart dropped about 3 or 4 times when I first watched this run. We're going to be seeing a lot of close calls here. The frog and the fly can hurt you, as well as everything emerging from the frog's eyes, which can actually be prevented from happening if you have the Lizard of Push. The Lizard of Push can push the pink blocks that we've been seeing, like this one right here, and you can push them onto the frog's eyes to keep it from shooting at you. And that's a big help, but it takes a lot longer to get the push lizard in order to make that happen.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the Lizard of Push in this run.
No, push and stone will be left out.
We might as well also explain skipping the checkpoint before the boss. That actually has an effect on the route. After you beat a boss, you can return to your last checkpoint, and that became incorporated into speedruns because it made for a lot of interesting routing choices. Whichever save point you touch last, you could kind of kickstart your next entry into the game for the next boss.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a lot of options doing it that way as well, because you can either choose to go back to the last boss you fought, or you can go back to the beginning of the game, and you can decide to keep your current lizard or not. So there's all sorts of combinations that can be used. So the frog has acquired the fly, and we have acquired our second ending.
And this is how the TASBot do.
Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a cross-country trek here now, after we acquire the Lizard of Surf. This is the only real significant purpose that the Lizard of Surf uses outside of, say, collecting all the coins in the game, of which there are 128. And we're pretty much just going to be going left to right here.
Yeah, it's a long way across the world. I forget if we explained, but so like your character's randomized every time you play, and you can kind of see your hair color when you get out of the lizard. The skin color is randomized. I just wanted it to be like a different random player every time. But the way I wrote this, I made it aware that it might be played as a TAS sometime. So the random number generator is initialized after the player's appearance is chosen, which I think is unique for an NES game, or maybe any game that's been given a tool such as speedrun. I'm not sure.
It's very smartly designed, and I like that. Even if you're watching a pre-made movie in that sense, you still don't know exactly what human you're going to get, which is pretty cool. Alright, so now we have Battletoads 2 here, the surf section. This is essentially an autoscroller, the second of 3 such autoscrollers we're going to encounter in the game. Just a lot of rocks, logs, and fish, as well as everyone's favorite giant duck who's played this game.
Oh yeah, the big rubber duck is kind of, well, I don't know if if Graveyard's made of rubber, but that's his name. His name is Graveyard.
So for those who are new to TASBot, this is a bot that is playing back the predefined sequence of button presses made by the author of this task, which I believe we've decided is Youth? Oh, I can't pronounce his name to save my life.
Juef.
Juef.
I think he's in the chat.
Yeah, I think he is, actually. We are very sorry. If you can tell us how you like your name pronounced, we'll fix it. So this is a tool-assisted speedrun. All of the things you are seeing were done inside of an emulator named FCEUX ahead of time. And what TASBot does that's different is plays those inputs back on a real console. I've actually got a NES RGB modded console down here that's otherwise completely original. In fact, you can see the output on this professional video monitor behind me. So what you're seeing here is being done on a real console.
And in real time. So here we have perhaps the most appropriately named boss of this run. This boss's name is Rob. And if you want to go over a little bit about the logic behind the name and the creative process he went through to create these animations. It's an incredibly detailed boss.
Rob is short for Ouroboros, the world serpent who eats its own tail. I just named it after a famous serpent, I guess. This boss was actually kind of designed around Yar's Revenge, if anyone's played that, for Atari 2600, where you use your position to line up a missile, and then it comes at the boss. I actually worked on a sequel to Yar's Revenge, or a remake, I'm not sure what to call it, a couple years ago that came out on Xbox 360. And we differentiated it from the original game by moving the apostrophe over one letter, so it's Yar apostrophe S Revenge instead of Yar's apostrophe Revenge.
Incredibly clever. It looks like we have an answer to how to pronounce Juef. It's Juef.
I'm glad to finally know how to say that.
Juef.
The more you know. Alright, heading into Root Zone now. It's going to be a long fall, all the way down to acquire the Lizard of Swim, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The Lizard of Swim allows you to swim.
How many official lizards are there in this game that you're willing to admit to?
The manual lists 6 lizards. If you're observant, you might notice that you're wearing a different lizard than those 6 when you start the game, which is the Lizard of Knowledge, which isn't really featured in this run, and it probably seems at first like it's not very useful. But it knows things. Most notably, it can talk to a lot of creatures in this game, who might give helpful hints.
I would say it's like the tutorial lizard.
But talking to things isn't fast, so you'll never see it in a speedrun.
Right.
Actually, you do see it at the end of the speedrun.
This is true, and it is the only time that you'll actually be able to understand anything written on the screen. It is, of course, by design. So here's the swimming section. We're going to skip this checkpoint right here, so we can do a little bit of a warp.
That's
later
actually
on.
pretty
It saves a lot of
tough.
time.
That checkpoint is actually pretty tough to skip.
It is. It's done RTA, and it ain't easy. It's usually a reset point at higher levels.
It was actually funny, like, I had, for some reason I had a design philosophy of, I should make sure you can always skip a save checkpoint. I wasn't sure why, I didn't know how it would be used in speedruns, but I was like, I don't want someone to save, so you should always be able to skip it, maybe, if you try.
That is very kind and smart. Okay, so here's Shaft, the quadrupus.
Oh yeah,
feel free
in
to
2
explain
dimensions. So Shaft only has 4 legs because it's 2 dimensions. I think in 3 dimensions you have 8 legs. In 2 dimensions you should have 4 legs on an octopus.
I would agree.
And I'll let you figure out what that means in less or more dimensions. But her name is Shaft because she's a bad mother, throwing her eggs at you. I'm not sure how many people know too much about Shaft that would understand that reference, but
It's a good one.
that's sort of the source of the name.
For anyone who's interested in knowing, this was 10,997 re-records in FCEUX made by Joeth. It was a total of 65,146 frames, which makes this movie length 18 minutes, 3 seconds, 3.98 seconds. So, and apparently there are improvements that could bring it below 18 now, which is amazing. What's a typical real-time run?
Usually RTA you'll want to shoot for sub 20. That's like a really good time. And that's using all the same routing that this task does pretty much, except for that one small skip. But that one small skip isn't always used in RTA either. I personally don't go for it because it's a lot of time loss if you miss it for only a few seconds of gain.
Yeah, I think there are quite a few options for routing it, and especially if you're trying to do like a marathon thing where you want to have kind of some safety checkpoints, there are a lot of different ways to kind of decide where to put those in.
Yeah, and right now we are wearing the Lizard of Heat. That's going to come in handy for quick killing a boss toward the end. This is the only time I remember us straight up stopping in this run just to wait for that little lettuce.
Oh. I liked it when people started calling that creature the walking lettuce.
This level is kind of dark, by the way.
It is. I'll explain a little bit about the duality of this world shortly, but first I want to mention that these three raccoons' names are Windy, Rocky, and Blaze, and I could have sworn that was an Earth, Wind, and Fire reference, given that the cat's name was Bowie. But you know, retroactively, it can certainly be considered as such.
I actually didn't intend that reference, but it worked out really well, so I like it.
It did. So, oh yeah, we don't collect any coins in this run either, which is, it's not necessary to avoid all coins, but it's something fun. So that was Mountain Zone for about 10 seconds, and here is a quick kill. Pretty much just hold B and blow fire on the rabbit. This is actually the last normal boss of the run. So if you want to explain really quickly about the kind of the nature of the world of Lizard and how you can switch between, would you call it like the heads and tails of the world?
Yeah, so like I called it recto and verso. That's sort of names for like old books. That's the right side and the left side of the page. So it's supposed to be two sides of a page, which means when you go through a door in this game, you end up on the other side of the world, but the world is flipped because the page has been flipped over. So there's a mountain on one side that's snowy, and on the other side is the volcano. But other areas where you go through a door, there's always a corresponding thing on the other side that's kind of related to it.
And that's brilliant with the book page analogy. I've never thought of it that way.
Actually, you see the book here flipping over, and you'll see the night side and the day side, which is
now I get it.
An analog to the world out there.
I didn't catch that the first time through.
I didn't catch that the 20th time through. Okay, so here we have a sort of a, I guess you could call it, Yoku blocks, in a sense.
It's a little bit like that.
Yeah, basically have a series of cycles. This is the third auto-scroller, by the way, of the run. And it's enough to give me a little bit of PTSD as a runner of this game, because I can't tell you how many times I've missed one jump and lost the whole run here. It's pretty high octane.
You can see the
And
button
once again-
presses on the controller where the back and forth gets kind of obscene sometimes.
It's so good.
The lizard of two heads.
So after a little bit of an expose here about, what's going on, you're eventually able to choose between two endings. One is if and only if you have the Lizard of Knowledge, which we do in this case. And you're able to read from the book that's being flipped here. And your other option is to ascend, which is to say go through another one of those little boss portals and touch a crystal, become the Lizard of Beyond.
Is that a NetHack reference?
Oh, no. I'm not sure I understand.
Ascending, but don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. I just thought ascending sounded, like a way to end something.
And that's time.
That is time. That was 18 minutes and, let's see, 3 seconds, I believe? By, 18 seconds.
And here are all the
18 minutes
randomly generated friends that you meet along the way.
Ah, they're random too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like to thank you guys, first of all, for providing commentary. This has been an awesome run. This has been a really fun game to play with. I've done a previous run-through of an earlier task that was a lot of fun. If you are interested in seeing more tool-assisted speedruns, I am the ambassador for TAS Videos. I'd love for you to come join our community. You can come on over to tasvideos.org. You'll find this run and many others that are amazing, just like it. If you have interest in TASBot, like this guy here, if you have interest in TASBot, come on over to discord.tas.bot. We're an amazing community. You can even get your own replay device if you're interested in playing back runs on your own console. Cable is always going to be a challenge, but it's always fun. I'd like to again thank Winterbit and Rain Warrior for joining me on commentary. And unless you two have anything else to say, I think I'm going to close this out.
Well, I just want to say that I think the book ending is the good ending, because you get to read all the lore, see about all the creatures you met, see what they're called, and all the locations. I just think it's a really cool way to end any game, where you get a little bit of expose, kind of Super Mario World style. And it's just... I mean, I have to say Brad pretty much thought of everything here. And I really appreciate the attention to detail paid in every respect in this game. This is a great representation of the NES homebrew and indie dev community, which has really experienced a resurgence in the last few years. And I feel like this game kind of, in a way, spearheaded that and inspired a lot of people to make their own NES games. So I implore you to get out there, check out some of the NES games that are being made these days, like in the last handful of years, because there are a lot of great devs out there with a lot of great ideas.
Absolutely. I'm going to actually plug this game. You can get this specific game. You can find Lizard at lizardnes.com. Am I correct on that address, Brad?
Yep, that's it. And thanks very much for those kind words, Winterbit. And thanks so much for demonstrating my game. It's great to see it played like this.
Absolutely.
It's an unusual way.
Well, thank you again. If you want to be part of the TASBot community, come on over to discord.tas.bot. That's the best place to find us, or just tas.bot. And feel free to swing by my Twitch channel. I do this kind of content all the time. I am dwangoAC. You can find me at twitch.tv/dwangoAC. With that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much, guys.
Take care.
Well, I just want to say again, to trot back out here for all of us, dwangoAC, and setting that up. I also want to thank Brad and Winterbit so much for really helping us understand, get a better idea of what went into this game, and to thinking how this game was made and how the game actually works as a speedrun versus a task. It was a wonderful example to show the difference between what a task really is. And also, major shout outs, major thank you to Drew F there in the chat. I think that was quite a wonderful presentation. Thank you all so much for doing all of that work. So we have another donation that we got in. We have $20 from CPP Chris CPP. Is there any comment? No, there is not. But it is $20 and it is going to direct relief. And that is the best part of all. Now, I just want to remind everybody that we still have things that we can donate for, even though we are winding down to the very end of this marathon. For example, in just a few more hours,